Okay, this video is it's kind of about January 6th and what Trump said in his speech, something to the effects of, I will march with you, we'll go to the Capitol, blah, blah, blah. That, what they're claiming now, the Democrats, because they can't, people have listened to that over and over and come to the conclusion, people with brains anyway, have come to the conclusion that that doesn't mean he meant I'll go there with you and we'll attack the Capitol. And he didn't even go. He ended up leaving. He didn't even march with them. So now the Democrats are trying to, and liberals, liberals, are trying to claim that what really built up to the attack on the Capitol, the rioting, the invasion, or whatever you want to call it, that they call it, the dumbasses doing dumbass things is what I call it. Now they're wanting to say that, well, his speech about losing the election, it was a fraud, blah, blah, blah. All the things that Rudy Giuliani showed, the problems with this and that and everything, even though it didn't all pan out and we didn't find, the smoking gun, so to speak. Even though there was lots of evidence there, it just, for some reason, they never brought it forth, really. So, again, when it comes to evidence, if you got it, show it. If you claim you have it and then you don't bring it forward persistently and consistently, then it doesn't exist. You can't just say, oh, well, we found this, here it is, here's our proof. However, we're not going to, ram it forward. You got to ram it forward. And they didn't. So now they're saying that all Trump's claims of, being cheated in the election, the fraud, blah, 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 whatever, all the stuff Trump claimed, incited the violence, incited the attack on the Capitol. Look, if that's all it takes for people to attack a Capitol, to break windows, to bust through doors and push cops, because they are effectively cops, Capitol Police, to push cops out of the way and things like that, that's all it takes, then you either wanted to do it or you were quick to do it. So I don't believe Trump. And even if he did have a little bit to do with that because of what he was saying, what he believed, I truly believe he believed that. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I find it hard to believe 80 million people voted for Trump. And I find it hard to believe that 80 million people hated Trump that bad to vote for Biden, a senile old man. But that's his opinion. That's Trump's opinion. That's Trump's, Hitler did not come out and say, Jews are bad, blah, blah, blah. No, Hitler created the Third Reich to do that for him. It was a speech. And he had a lot of reason to doubt the integrity of the election. A lot of us did. We've seen the stuff going on. It wasn't Trump there at the polls showing how people couldn't get in who were supposed to view the polls. It wasn't Trump who was there counting ballots that were brought in, on video overnight and counted the next morning. There was a lot of irregularities, just not on a massive scale. So anybody in their right mind would have questions and doubts. And let's face it, 80 million people voted for a senile old man. Record numbers. That's his opinion. That's his free speech. If we tell Trump, oh, well, because of what you said, not did, because of what you said, we're going to prosecute you, that's a prosecution towards the First Amendment. Free speech. He's entitled to free speech in his opinion, just like anyone else. And hey, if Trump was wrong, and if Trump was just being, what's the word I'm looking for? Misled and thought that, people were out to get him, paranoid and so forth. So, that's his opinion. That's his constitutional right to say what he's thinking. He didn't call for violence at all. I honestly don't think that he thought people would do what they did. And after it happened, he did tell them to stop and go home. So there was no insurrection planned by anyone, including the dumbasses that started climbing walls and breaking through doors. And if Trump is guilty, then everyone else who says something that leads to something bad, because it's their opinion, and dumbasses think, oh, well, that's what I should do, should be prosecuted. Like, for example, Chuck Schumer. Remember, someone showed up at Brett Kavanaugh's house to kill him. Duct tape, weapons. Chuck Schumer was calling for violence then. That's closer to calling for violence than what Chuck Schumer said at his speech about Brett Kavanaugh than what Trump said. And he said it about Gorsuch, too. What about Maxine Waters? We all forgot about her. Remember when she said to get up in people's faces? Get up in their faces. She's an idiot. And what'd someone do? Here in Louisville, Kentucky, some idiot caught Mitch McConnell and his wife in a restaurant and got up in his face. So, does Maxine Waters need to go to jail? Does she need to be guilty of something? Or was that just their constitutional right? Those two things are more of a call to violence than what Trump said. Trump said, I'll march with you. What about, should we go after Disney? Anakin Skywalker did go in and assassinate young Padawans in one of the Star Wars movies. Is Disney saying, and now we've got all these, suddenly, for some reason after that happened, we got all these guys going into grade schools and killing babies, first graders and shit. Disney made a movie, and people, dumbasses, thought they should do it. Is Disney guilty of something? Or is that their First Amendment right to make a film so people can watch it? Look, if you go to a theater and scream fire, that's not illegal. Now, if you do it and someone gets hurt trying to escape the building, you can be prosecuted for causing that. But if you had the intention of causing people harm by doing that. But technically, it's not illegal to do that. Maybe disorderly conduct or something, some things like that. But not, you're not going to go to prison for that. But if someone goes to a theater and screams fire, and a bunch of people run like hell, and he lets off a firecracker or something, and people run like hell, and people get trampled, and people die, or someone dies, then, well, yeah. But that's not what Trump did. Trump didn't do that. Trump just said, in my opinion, he basically said, in my opinion, the election was a fraud and I was cheated. And here's what they did. And a lot of people believed that because, if it had been Obama instead of Biden, people would have said, dude, you lost. It was Biden. 80 million people, record number, ever. I'm still not buying that shit. That's Trump's First Amendment right. And if we're going to go after one person for saying his opinion that resulted in dumbasses doing dumbass things, then I guess everybody needs to really just walk around on pins and needles and watch their First Amendment right carefully. No. That's not what we do. We go after the dumbasses, not someone who has exercised their First Amendment right. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. And that's just my opinion.